Hello friend, welcome back to my kitchen. Yesterday I did the final harvest on the peppers. That's what I've got here. And we are gonna be dealing with these peppers. It's gonna be kind of like a food preservation day in that we're not just focusing on one recipe today during this live. We are gonna be doing multiple things. So let's see if I can do this and not make any serious mistakes. I did do myself a favor and I did some pre-measuring and things like that. So, sorry, that's probably loud. So the first thing we're gonna get going on should be just dump and go. So I do have my oven preheated to 425 degrees. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Becky. I don't know if I introduced myself. My husband is here and his name is Josh.
Hello.
He is going to be reading comments and collecting questions throughout. So if you have questions, go ahead and leave them and he will start collecting them. And when we have different breaks throughout here, or if he just sees something, he will go ahead and shoot me a question. And Josh, you can interrupt me at any point, just so you know. So I have two pots here. The first thing we're gonna do is make two different types of hot sauce. It seems like every year I kind of try new hot sauce recipes. I love hot sauce and I like to make it with my homegrown peppers. So I went ahead and I linked the recipe that we're gonna be following down in the description box for you. So if you wanna try making your own hot sauce, that will be linked down there for you. We're also going to be roasting some peppers, chopping a bunch of bell peppers for the freezer while our hot sauce roast. So in this first bowl, I have 2 pounds of a variety of peppers, mostly yellows and oranges because I want to have a red hot sauce this year. This is not the first time I'm making hot sauce this year, but this is going to be probably the final time because I did pull some peppers out of the freezer. I want a red hot sauce and green hot sauce. So in here I have Sugar Rush peach peppers. I have washed these and cut the stems off. This is my new favorite pepper and I'm gonna be growing a bunch of them next year. It was super prolific. It's spelled AJI crystal pepper and it's super sweet but super hot at the same time. I have some of these Baha'i peppers. They're purple, I'm not sure how to pronounce them. And I think that's it in here. Oh, I have some red serranos in here as well. And I have 2 pounds going in there. And then in this bowl, it looks like I forgot to cut the stems off and I just dropped some peppers on the floor. So I'm gonna have to pick those up, wash them again.
Oops. And
we'll get them in here. I have some Anaheim peppers that are really hot. I have one poblano. I have some yellow Sugar Rush peach peppers, a ton of serranos. The serranos are really hot. And a couple banana peppers just because I needed to get the weight. This is a weighted recipe. Let me go wash these off. I need these peppers because they're part of my weight calculation. Let me put this over here for a second.
We've already gotten some very generous donations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
got
much.
10 pounds from Lisa Gibbs and $50 from Rose Kiziel.
Oh, thank you. Are there any questions associated?
$14 from Dino Vittorio. No questions on those yet.
Oh, you guys, thank you so much.
Very, very sweet.
Yeah, super generous. So now that I have my peppers in here, I'm gonna get my seasonings and I pre-measured out my salt and paprika, my garlic. This is the homegrown garlic. So everything going in these pots are homegrown, minus the salt. I didn't buy this or grow the salt and the vinegar that we're gonna be adding. And we're gonna be adding just white distilled vinegar. And we are gonna add a total of 3.5, 6, 7 cups of vinegar. And Josh had to run to the store for me today and pick up the vinegar. And I'm glad you bought 2 gallons because we might end up, well, no, I don't think we're gonna get into the 2nd gallon, but this is a canning recipe. The other hot sauces that I've made this year, I didn't can because I just made them up. And so this will be nice to have some on the pantry shelf and some, I didn't do my math correct. Okay. I did 2, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And everyone, I'm bumping up the volume a little bit more.
Oh,
So let me know if that just sounds like really bad or if it's still too quiet.
Oh, friend. I lost track how much vinegar I put in there.
Is that because I was talking?
No, that was my fault. So I'm going to get this on the stove. I probably should have pre-measured out the vinegar too.
And how much is left in the container? Because that's a gallon.
Oh,
So we could subtract
that's a good
whatever's
idea.
left.
I know I have the correct amount in that jar. And this is 2 cups.
Let's hope
You
it
might
fits
have
in
to-
there. That's
1 cup and
and
probably,
a half.
yeah. You want to do the math
So
on
3 and a
that?
half. A gallon minus 3.5 cups. Let's see.
That's a quarter of a cup. There probably
We're
was.
going to call it 3.5.
I know how I can,
So that's 12.5 cups. 12.75 cups would be what you poured in. Is that what you were thinking?
I don't know. Friends, we're going to figure this out. Let's see. The beauty of going live.
So it's 16 cups in a gallon, right?
I don't know.
I
You'd
think
have
so.
to Google it. I know how to figure this out. Oops, sorry, that was really loud.
Well, you have whatever I said before. You put in 12.5 cups, 12.75 cups.
I don't think that was quite enough. I'm going to do this real quick here, just to be sure, because this is a canning recipe.
So you want to be pretty precise.
Yeah. We're not professionals around here. We're just ones that play professionals on TV, basically. And it's okay if I have more vinegar than less vinegar. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure this out. And I need 7 cups in here, just like that. Once we have this on the stove, we're not going to have to measure anything else out. We are going to be able to just plug and chug. So here, I need 7 cups. This is 2. Oh, but I want to use this because it's seasoned.
We have people that were counting and said you did 6, but I also see 7. So, which those were
There's
2 cups per,
I'm running out of bowls,
which
friend.
means probably you did 6 times 2 cups, plus a little extra.
Okay, so that's 2.
2.
We're going to see here.
This is great.
And this is 4.
Almost 4.
2, 4. You know, we might have done it correctly, but oh no, we wouldn't have. Whoops,
Oh, my.
sorry. We did 6. I think I'm actually going to transfer this hot sauce into this pot because that
That
one's.
doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but
Now we have 7 when I add that. Are you checking the? Maybe I didn't
I'm
put
afraid
it.
of doing math in here.
Afraid of doing math live.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now, one thing about when you make hot sauce, if you're not fermenting it, if you're making it like this with vinegar, is it can get really potent in your house. You're boiling vinegar and hot peppers. And so if you have anyone in your family that has asthma or respiratory issues, it would be best to maybe not have them home or have all your windows open so that you can get good airflow in the house. All right, crisis averted. So let me just kind of tidy this up a little bit. I'll
I
wipe
will
off.
say I'm generally confused on how we measured out.
Did I not put enough vinegar in this one?
You measured out 6 cups just now, but that would be a half of
Then
that
7.
gallon. And then 7 in the other one?
No, I put 7 cups in here. And then we still have, did I not put
Okay.
enough in the other one?
I didn't catch that first one, I guess.
So we have 1 3/4 cup vinegar here.
Okay.
So if you subtract that from 1 gallon, how much does that leave us? 7 plus 1 3/4 cup.
7 and 1 would be 8 and 3/4 cup. But we have a 12.
You know what I'm gonna
This
do?
is no good. No, wait, hold on. hold on. How many total? What is the recipe saying? It said 6 cups.
7 cups.
7 cups.
Yeah. And this one for sure has 7 because we just measured it.
Okay. So it should have 5 cups left over, and I just am not seeing 5 cups.
I don't know. What I'm going to do, just to be safe, because you can always add more vinegar, I'm just going to add another cup of vinegar or all of that to that. We're going to call that good. You can always add more acid when you're canning. You just can't.
We should have 9 left. I'm just gonna trust that you measured it out the second time. I'm sure it's fine.
Okay. So now the next thing I want to get going.
7 in both.
Yeah. 14.
Okay.
14.
Gotcha. 14 total.
14 total.
Now I'm okay.
Now
Thank you, everyone. 7 in both. People are crying out for the confusion.
They're like, oh my goodness, it's probably painful.
There should be 2 cups left over.
Yeah, and there was 1 and 3/4.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for the confusion.
Okay. I like vinegary hot sauces, so a little extra vinegar in my hot sauce is going to be just fine. And we're actually, if you read the recipe, we're going to blend all the pepper stuff and only add 1 cup of the liquid back, which I'll show you when we get to it. So it's okay that I added more. I just wanted to make sure I added the correct amount. So now, the next thing I want to get going on is, I'm just going to clear this space a little bit, because I'm going to need some space here, is I'm trying to think about how can I do this efficiently as possible, and we are going to start roasting some peppers. So we have the stove, oh, I don't have the stove on.
Sorry, everyone, I clearly can't multitask very well.
That's okay. So now I have both stoves on, so those need to cook for quite some time. So that's why I thought it would be good to get going on some other things. I had roasted some of these poblano peppers. Let me grab one thing. And they turned out fantastic, and I've already been using them a ton. And so I want to roast and peel these poblano peppers to use as roasted peppers like you would buy in a jar, and these Anaheim peppers like you would buy in a jar. I just have to be careful because these peppers are spicy, and Josh does not love super hot things, but the flavor on them is great. So next year when I grow these, because I want to grow Anaheims again, I am going to see if I can find a mild one. I didn't really think about that when I bought the seed. I just bought the seed, and it didn't say if it was hot or not. Like banana peppers, you can get spicy banana peppers or sweet banana peppers, and I'm sure if I do a little bit of research, I'll be able to find one that's not spicy.
By the way, we've got 2 more substantial donations, which are not necessary, by the way, at all, but we really appreciate it. We got $50 from Nicole. She says, absolutely love your channel. You have taught me so much. You're such an inspiration.
Aww.
And we got $50 from Mary, who said, thank you, friend, for teaching us.
Oh my goodness, you guys are
Very
so
sweet.
incredibly generous. I really appreciate that. It is not necessary,
And
but
then
it is so appreciated.
we had Dorky Von Munch Munch, who donated $25 and asked any math teachers to just look away.
That's so awesome. Thank you. Josh, would you be willing to preheat that oven to, actually, I'm going to run over there real quick and do it. So I'm still here, but to make this go a little bit faster, I've just preheated my other oven so I can have 2 going at once. And I'll wait a couple minutes to put those in there. So now we have our second project on its way. And then we're going to start on our third project. And this is where it's not going to take very much of my brain power to do this, because all we're going to be doing is chopping. So if you have questions, this would be the perfect time. And what I'm going to do here is I have my bell peppers. The variety of bell pepper here is, these are called what are they called? Yellow Monster bell peppers. And Jessica from 3 Rivers, she talked about these bell peppers. She said they were her favorite and the most prolific she had ever grown. I have tried growing many varieties of bell peppers, and she is right. I've had the best luck with these bell peppers, and so I will grow these again. And these are the last of them. I have started the process of cleaning the garden. was it yesterday? I went out and harvested all this stuff. I think so, it was yesterday. And I'm starting to actually clean the beds as I harvest. My parents are coming over tomorrow and we're gonna do a big harvest. We're gonna harvest all of the carrots, and my carrots have done so well this year. The variety of carrot I grew that I've been harvesting the most of are called Bolero carrots. And I grew them in and amongst my onions. And what I have found for me to grow the best carrots is to plant them a little bit later, like in May. So not when it's, they say you can plant carrots, at least in my area, way earlier than that. But I don't have good germination when I plant them when it's that cold out. And so if I wait till like mid to late May and I leave them in the ground like 4 weeks, 6 weeks longer than the package says they should take to grow, that's when I've had the best luck growing decent sized carrots. And you saw those carrots I pulled out.
Oh yeah, very impressive. Like real carrots.
Yeah, like store-bought real carrots.
Maybe even bigger.
They were incredible. And so we're gonna do a big harvest tomorrow with my parents. And Josh is actually gonna be out there with us, and he is going to help start cleaning up the beds. He actually helped me today. We went out there and pulled all the tomato plants. I have 2 of 20 beds done. So it's gonna be a lot of work.
So pretty much almost done.
Yeah, no, not even close. It's gonna be a lot of work to get the rest of the beds done.
My live streaming tab just closed, so I hope that doesn't mean the entire thing went out.
My oven is preheated over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this in the oven. And I'm putting it on the top rack on broil. I'm gonna take a quick peek at this. I put this on 425 degrees. I think I'm gonna turn that off, and I think I'm actually gonna put this on broil. And
Well,
this
that's
one
interesting.
is about to come to a boil, and this one is about to come to a boil. And it is starting to get vinegary in here. Josh just had to clear his throat a little bit because it is gonna get spicy in here.
It might get raspy.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do with these bell peppers, and Josh, you can interrupt me at any time.
Well, we did get 2 more donations,
Gosh, you guys are so
which really
sweet.
is not necessary. It's very, very sweet. One is from Miss, actually, we got a few more. We have a recommendation to do more collaborations with other YouTubers
Oh, okay.
from Xavier. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And then from Cheryl A, we got a donation. She says, "Thank you for your videos. They are very motivational. I learned so much from you."
Oh, I learned a lot from you guys too.
Oh, for sure.
One thing, were there?
There's some more.
Okay.
We got $20 from Kathy for dog treats. It was very sweet.
They will appreciate that.
And then we have from Miss Cries, she said, "I learned a ton from Becky. My husband knows who you are because I talk about you all the time. He knows your voice." And then from Nina Johnson, we got $10, and she said, "How do you keep your knives so sharp?"
I sharpen them, and I haven't done it in a while, but there is a guy, I keep meaning to, I just don't go to the farmer's market that often. For my birthday one year, what is that guy's name? He's in
I think it's the patron saint of knives.
Yes, the patron saint of
Vancouver.
knives. And he has a business where he sharpens knives, and you can drop them off on his front porch, and he's got like this locked box, and he sharpens knives. So Josh found him one year and brought all my knives when I was on a girls trip, so I was not without my knives. And then I do use the honing stone, but I do need to take them to the knife sharpener. But I do hone them pretty regularly, which is just this. This is a honing stone. I thought it was a knife sharpener, but you all taught me that this is actually a honing stone. So I'll show you how I do it. You want to go at this little thing right here is the correct angle. So you rest your knife on this edge and you just run it down one way. I probably shouldn't do that over the pepper.
I was going to say, but I didn't
Yeah.
draw attention to it.
And then you go up and down. It is important you do the right angle. And then I'm gonna go rinse this off because you can get micro bits of, I don't know what this is.
Metal?
Metal? Yes, it's metal.
Yeah.
So then let's see, that feels sharper. Yep.
I have a question. Are the yellow peppers hotter than the green peppers?
No, these are all sweet peppers. These are sweet banana peppers. And I have jarred up a couple of them, and I'm probably just gonna dice those and put them in with these bell peppers, because they're sweet. Okay, those are starting to char, but not quite yet. Oh, I wanted to say, because we were talking about, I have been down this rabbit hole, because if you watched a while back, my last Azure haul, I ordered a 5-pound thing of beeswax, because I want to make beeswax candles, because I love beeswax candles. And one of you was I so appreciate, left a comment about how important it is to have the correct wick. I was just going to use the wicks that I already had. When burning beeswax, you need a specific wick. You need a cotton braided square wick, and it has to do with how hot it burns. You want a hotter flame for beeswax candles. And I was sending Josh all these links to these molds and things because we're going to be making beeswax candles together. But because of that comment, I went down this whole rabbit hole about researching wicks and the proper way to do it. So when we do it together, hopefully I will do it correctly. And so I'm really excited about that. So anyway, I just wanted to say that all to say thank you for, everyone who does take time to leave a comment, especially one like that where it's very helpful, because you just saved me a ton of beeswax potentially of not using the improper wick. So
Speaking of beeswax,
Yeah.
we have had a number of questions about the bees.
yeah,
And there's not a whole lot to report. They are definitely slowing down quite a bit. And there's not as much honey as I would like in the top chamber. So we'll probably have to be supplementing their food a little bit this fall and winter. But they're definitely slowing down. They're still there, which is great. My greatest fear doing this was that they were just going to abandon us. But they haven't done that yet. So that's good.
Yeah, they haven't abandoned us.
Which would be sad. We love them so much.
They've been relatively easy to this point. Josh has gone in there and checked on them a few times, but because we're not going to be collecting any honey or anything at this point, they've just been kind of
Doing
a little
their thing.
Yeah.
There was a point though in the midsummer where they were going crazy. There were bees everywhere, and there's not as many anymore all over the place.
You can keep talking.
Becky's getting the other peppers out.
Yeah, so here I could smell them. I turned the light on in the oven over there so that I could keep an eye on them to remind me. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these. I've blistered them on one side now, and I'm going to flip them. I'm really glad that I'm getting to this today because I really like these roasted peppers. So all I'm going to do with these is freeze them. Once we peel them and dice them, I will just freeze them, and they take no time to thaw at all. Minutes. You can run them under some water. I freeze them flat in a Ziploc bag. So to get them out of the Ziploc bag, you can just run them under some water and then they slip right out. And they're delicious, just like you would use them, just like you would use a jar of roasted peppers. I looked for a canning recipe. I think you can them, but the freezing saves you a step of having to can them. They take hardly any room frozen flat in the freezer, and they take no time to thaw. So I haven't thought that it's necessary to go through the effort of canning them, because you would have to pressure can them. Okay, they're going back in the oven on the top rack, and I'm sure these ones now are done. I am at a very strong boil over here, and I'm at a very gentle boil over here. Whew, those red ones are stricken.
It's all the way over here.
Yeah. Okay. And I can smell those high crystal peppers. Josh, how would you pronounce that word? AJI?
It could be ahi or aji, I guess. Depends on where they're from.
Well, those, I don't know where they're from. Those peppers, they have a very distinct smell. They're very sweet smelling, and I can actually smell them. So I'm gonna rotate these. This is the first year I'm doing this, and it'll probably be a staple thing I do.
I mean, if we can get peppers like this every year.
Huh?
If we can get peppers like this every
Yeah,
year.
this year by far has been the best pepper year. I'm gonna grow way fewer varieties of peppers next year, but I'm gonna grow more of each variety. I wanna grow a high crystal pepper, I wanna grow the Anaheims, I wanna grow jalapenos and the bell peppers, and I think that's, oh, maybe I probably will do a cayenne because I usually get, oh no, I wanna do serranos, way more serranos. I might not actually grow jalapenos because I've never had that great of success, but my serrano peppers are very prolific. And I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Those Ahai crystal peppers, they almost have a florally taste like a habanero. You know how habaneros have a floral taste? But I don't love the taste of habanero, so it's similar but different because I like the taste of these peppers.
It is ahi, by the way.
Ahi?
Ahi,
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. So those have just a minute longer.
But we also have aji. I don't know. We've got both represented. I think we just go with ahi.
They're really good. They were very prolific too. They look very similar to the Sugar Rush peach pepper. I actually thought that I had mislabeled them, but they don't taste like the Sugar Rush peach pepper.
Are these the green ones here, the ones that are really, really spicy?
No, these are sweet. These are bell
Okay.
peppers. That's why
Oh,
I
those
don't
are bell
have-
pepper. Okay.
Yeah,
The red ones, though,
are hot.
those are obnoxious.
Yeah, Josh ate one in the garden.
She said they.
I told you they were spicy.
She said they were spicy, but she did not convey the relative level of spice, and they were unreasonable.
Yeah, Josh thinks it's unreasonable.
I almost died. They should have a warning on them, frankly.
Coming out of the ground with a warning label on them.
Yeah. I mean, they are red.
That's
so
true,
Kind
that's
of
true.
A warning.
That's true.
People are saying don't rub your eyes.
Yes. Even after bell peppers. I wore gloves when I cut all of the peppers other than the ones you saw me cut. But you're probably right. I probably should have wore gloves even with these. I do have gloves out. I actually sent Josh to the store today, and he got me gloves, vinegar, and vacuum
Food
seal
saver.
bags because we are going to be vacuum sealing these peppers. Now, the nice thing about freezing peppers is I've done this for years now because when I wasn't growing my own peppers, I was buying them from a local farmer because peppers are in I'm just grabbing these peppers here. Peppers are in what's called the dirty dozen. If you've looked that up, I'm gonna go rinse this out. Remind me, Josh, about the dirty dozen. And I can
Dirty dozen?
talk about that. There is a list of vegetables that contain high levels of pesticides and herbicides. And there's a list, there's called the dirty dozen, the ones that contain the most. And peppers are on that list. And then there's a list of 12 that, I think it's like dirty dozen clean something, I'm sure you all know. So peppers, I would buy from a local farmer when I wasn't growing them and I would freeze them. I still buy fresh peppers in the summer, but organic peppers are so expensive. So for ones that I'm gonna cook with, like these, the ones that I freeze, I liked to buy them from a local organic farmer because I could get them at a really good price when they were in season. And then I freeze them, and then I can use them in cooked applications. That's gonna need a minute longer. I can use them in cooked applications. And so I could get a better price on organic pepper. So I'm just gonna put this towel on here so it can start to steam so that I can start to peel the skin off those peppers in just a little bit after it sits for a little bit.
Those have a very interesting smell.
I think it's
The
this.
smoke, almost.
Oh, like the char?
It's almost like a cigar smoke kind of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like a tobacco-y type.
Not that we have a lot of experience with that, but yeah, kind of a tobacco. Yeah.
Yeah, well, most of us know what that smells like. Okay, so I'm chopping these. So you don't need to blanch peppers. I probably have interrupted myself like 4 times at this point. You do not need to blanch peppers to freeze them. You can just freeze them, open them, cook with them, and they cook up beautifully. But you do need to use them in a cooked application, not a fresh one. So if I need a fresh pepper in the winter, or when I run out of these peppers, then I'll buy them at the store.
Have you considered using the freeze dryer to make cayenne powder?
I have not used the freeze dryer to make cayenne powder, but I did dehydrate a bunch of red peppers that came out of my garden this year, and I've done that many years in a row. I have made cayenne pepper, but not using the freeze dryer, just using the dehydrator. And with the little red peppers that I dehydrated, I actually want to make hot honey. If you guys ever had hot honey before, if you've never had hot honey before, it is delicious on pizza. Josh, do you like hot honey on pizza? Do you like honey on pizza?
Honey, maybe, yeah. I just love a traditional pizza.
Yeah, Josh, he's got his go-to pizza. There's a restaurant that we used to go to in Portland called Ken's Artisan Pizza. We haven't been there in years because if you didn't get there right when it opened, or you had to get there before it opened and wait in line because they didn't take reservations. And we just haven't been there in a long time. We should go there again. But they used to have this pizza. I don't know if they still do, but they would put this fancy pepperoni on it that was spicy. It was like a spicy pepperoni. And then they would drizzle the whole thing. It wasn't with hot honey. It was just with honey. And it was so good.
So there are, this is something we avoid talking about to some extent, but we have a lot of comments about the little guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's doing really well.
Yeah.
He's thriving. He's talking a bunch. We like to respect his privacy and not show him or talk about him too much, but he's doing really well. He's a sweet little boy.
He's our favorite little person.
Yep.
He really is the best. Okay, so here is the poblano peppers and the rest of the Anaheims. I'm just going to put these in here. And then we'll cover them up, let them steam for a little bit, and hope probably by the time, well, they have to cool down too, because obviously they're way too hot to touch at this point. I'll put this over here. I just got some new cookie sheets, so I didn't want them to get ruined, so I lined them with some aluminum foil, and then I put a piece of parchment paper on them because I didn't want these sitting on that. I have found that when I char things in the oven, especially those tomatoes, it can destroy cookie sheets. So I didn't want that to happen with my new ones, but I didn't want the peppers touching the aluminum foil, so I just put a piece of parchment paper on there. Oh, you know what we can do now? We can turn these ovens off because it is going to get super warm in here if we keep these ovens on. So now both the ovens are off. Oh, goodness, friend. Oh, no, I didn't turn it off. I just turned it really low. So I only have a couple more peppers. This is probably a hot pepper, so I'm not going to cut that without having gloves on. And these aren't really ripe. Those are pretty immature. So I'll give that to the chickens. And you can give chickens hot pepper seeds. Chickens don't have the receptor to tell if something is spicy or not. And it's actually really good for them if you give them hot peppers. Some people even put like red pepper flakes in chicken feed to supplement their diet because they can't taste it. So they'll get all of these pepper seeds and that'll be good.
We have a couple of other super chats here. One is from Tracy. She says, have you ever grown orange, red, or yellow bell peppers?
So I have not. Technically, this is a yellow pepper variety. A green pepper is just, for the most part, it's just an unripe red or yellow pepper. All red and yellow peppers and orange bell peppers start out green. And so we just don't have really a long enough growing season, I think, to do that. I have never gotten them to turn any other color than green. But the local farmer I used to buy from did. I think he had a greenhouse though. So maybe one day.
We also received 500 Swedish kroner,
Oh, wow.
and it's from El No. They say, thank you for inspiring me to both grow my own vegetables and for introducing freezer meals. My partner is
good.
just as grateful.
That's awesome.
Very sweet.
I'm planning next week to do a big freezer cooking day. We just did a bunch of breakfast freezer meals together, and half the breakfast burritos are already gone. And those waffles and pancakes have been a huge hit. Those have been eaten like
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Those are awesome.
The fresh milled flour is fantastic. So if you missed it, I just got this grain mill. And actually, after we're done with this live, Josh is going to pick up an Azure order for me. And in that order, I have 2 varieties of
Wheat grain?
yes. So the wheat that I have on hand is soft white wheat. And the soft wheat varieties have less gluten in them. They have about 11-ish% gluten, and which is very good to give you really good textured things like pancakes and waffles and biscuits and pie crust. I actually bought this mill like, I don't know, Josh, when did I buy that mill? Like 2 months ago?
Yeah.
And it's been sitting on my front, like in my entry, because it felt intimidating to open it and learn how to use it, but it was so easy. If you watched, it was so easy. But when we went out of town and we were in Oklahoma with my sister, she has the same one. And she was telling me of all of the delicious things like cookies, and she would use my pie crust recipe, which I felt really honored by. And she would make pie crust with my pie crust recipe, and all she did was substitute 1-for-1 soft white wheat. But it doesn't make the best breads, like crusty loaves and sandwich loaves. So I need to get the hard wheat varieties because those tend to have like 13 up to 16% gluten. And that's what you want when you want like a crusty loaf. You need more gluten in it. So I'm putting what I think would be the equivalent of the amount of peppers I would need for one recipe. I don't like to open these and use only half of them, so I don't want to overfill them. So Josh got this new size of food saver bag that I've never used before, and this is a pint. I feel like normally, well, a lot of times we make our own, but I like this size.
That's a good size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than a quart because it's a little bit littler, so you don't waste like.
That's similar to what we end up with.
Yeah, when we
generally.
make them ourselves, but it is nice when you don't have to. I only had the saver bags that you had to make yourself, and
Comes in a roll.
it comes in a roll, yeah. So this was just like a little convenience item for me. So out of those bell peppers, we got 2 4 packages, and they're pretty generous packages, and I'm happy with that. So for example, if I was going to make pizza for Josh, Josh's favorite pizza is sausage, peppers, and onions. He doesn't really care what kind of pepper, like what color, and he doesn't really care what color onions, but I would not use this on a pizza. So if I make pizza in the winter, I will buy a pepper for that because the texture of this is not going to be something you'd really want to bite into. I mean, it's just going to be soft, you know, so. But if I'm going to make like soup or stew or even like sloppy joes or anything like that where you're just going to saute them and they're going to cook down, this is perfect. So I'm not going to vacuum seal these until later tonight. They are prepped and ready to go. I don't want them to spill though, so I'm going to put them back here. Let me wipe off my cutting board here. And then I am going to put some gloves on. I'm actually going to wash my hands. Probably should have had gloves on this whole time. Real quick. So Josh, if you want to...
Yeah, I was looking through to find something
gonna wash my
applicable.
hands.
So we have a question from Meredith from like the very beginning of the stream. She asks, do you use any pesticide on your veggie gardens or do you make your own organic pesticide?
That's a great... Oh, am I unmuted?
No. Oh, I didn't mute you at all. Oops.
That's okay. I don't use any pesticides on my garden. I use vinegar. My mom has a organic weed killer that I use recipe that I have linked, or it's on the website, that I use on the gravel areas. I do not put it in my garden beds because you can change the pH. And it's vinegar, salt, and soap. And I spray that on the gravel area where the little weeds are coming up around the beds. But for in the beds, I don't use any weed killer. I just pull them manually. And for pesticides, I use soap and water. I have never really gotten into using like diatomaceous, or not diatomaceous. There's a couple, I can't remember what, it's something that you can put on some beetles. We don't tend to have a ton of weed pressure or bug pressure. This year, we have slug pressure. And so many of you guys say Sluggo and beer. So I think I'm gonna try Sluggo next year because I did have slugs eating. I mean, I planted a whole bed of cabbage and I didn't get one cabbage because the slugs ate them all. And so many of you said Sluggo, and I'm pretty sure Sluggo is an organic option. I need to look more into it. But you just put it basically, you plant your plant and then you put the Sluggo around you don't actually spray it or anything on the plant. You put it on the soil. They're like little granules and you put it around the plant. So I might try that next year, and I need to try the beer trick next year because so many of you all said that works wonders. I just never got around to doing it.
We also have a question from Ray 2023. This was also pretty early in the live.
Mm-hmm.
They ask, what do you think is the most underrated way to process or preserve peppers?
Probably just freezing them because it's not fancy. It's just easy. I like to preserve them by turning them into hot sauce. I have never freeze-dried peppers before, actually, so that's probably something I should try. You can see kind of how the skin just peels off when you blister them and steam them. It is a little bit fiddly and tedious to get the seeds out. So I should try freeze-drying peppers. I just don't know. When I use my freeze dryer, I don't tend to reconstitute anything. So I could see how a freeze-dried pepper would be good, like if you just threw it into a soup, but this is very hot. But usually when I use my frozen peppers, I like to saute them because they get extra moisture in them. But I guess you wouldn't have to do that if you freeze-dried it. So maybe next year I'll freeze-dry some peppers. Do some experimenting. But when I make peppers into powder, I usually just dehydrate them. And that just a dehydrator works really well too. I grab a knife.
We have another question, or I've seen a couple questions about how do we reheat the burritos from the freezer meals.
That's a great question.
And I can answer that one, I guess. I think the key is to not have it frozen when you reheat it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with like a very hard tortilla on the outside. But
yeah,
we just take a few out every couple days and then keep them in the fridge, and it reheats pretty quickly within like
a minute
and a half, something like that.
Usually we will rotate them.
We've also, this week we've been doing something where we just cut down we cut it a hot dog length.
Yeah.
And just kind of open it up, and then it only takes like a minute and 15 seconds or so, and the whole thing gets really nice and warm. But that's more plate style. You're not going to pick that up and eat it like a burrito. But
yeah, they reheat perfectly if they're thawed.
Yeah.
The problem is if you reheat them from frozen, which you can do, but to get the inside warm, it takes so long that the
outside gets hard and tough.
Yeah. Same with the
molten.
sandwiches too. We do try to just pull a couple out, and actually this next week I'll show you basically how I use the breakfast freezer meals, and I prepped all of this week's dinner on Monday so that all I had to do throughout this week is like push the crock pot button on and warm up a breakfast burrito or whatever, and I'll bring you along for all that. So if you kind of want to see how we incorporate them, that will be coming out pretty soon. Just have to finish this week. Tonight for dinner, we're having sweet and sour meatballs, roasted carrots, and white rice.
This is a different topic, but
yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone that's new to canning?
Yes.
And finds it intimidating?
My biggest recommendation is to only can what your family likes to eat. I've kind of learned this over the years that, and especially actually with bulk buying too, but start with what you already buy. So if you buy a lot of store-bought jam, start with that because it is so good. Homemade jam is so good. You're not going to go wrong, especially if you make with a fruit you like. And then take the time to follow the steps correctly, because you not only will then know that you have a safe product for your family, but a lot of recipes aren't written. They're written in certain ways, not just so that you have a safe product, but so that you have the best texture product possible. So if you're going to do tomatoes, I think personally, I've learned this over the years, it's worth taking the time to peel them and de-seed them and cook them down until you've got a nice thick sauce than cutting corners, because it's already a lot of work. I would rather just do that like little bit more work to make sure that I'm going to have like the best product possible that I'm excited to like pull off the pantry shelf. I don't want to have things that I'm kind of like, oh, I feel
Try to find a way to use it.
Yeah. So that's what I've been kind of focusing on.
Which canning is easier to learn at first, pressure or water bath?
Honestly, I think pressure canning is easier, but it's more intimidating. And so I think most people I water bath canned for years before I started pressure canning, but I actually think pressure canning is easier and less messy a lot of the times, just because of the nature of the recipes, than water bath canning. Like 2 things I will always have on my pantry shelf that are pressure canned are beans and broth, because broth is so expensive. I haven't bought broth at the grocery store in years because I just make it myself, and I was out of town and I needed to buy broth and I was blown away how expensive it was. And so you can put the best quality broth. Some of these broths are like $9 for a quart, and you can put just as good of quality, if not better quality broth on your pantry shelf for pennies relative to that. And so a pressure canner is expensive because you have to buy a pressure canner to pressure can. But if you pressure can broth and you start making all your own homemade broth, it will pay for itself really quickly.
Could you really quickly recap what you're planning to do with these peppers? Like what you're doing with are these the poblanos? Yeah,
so right here, I'm just kind of mixing them together, and I'm going to use them the same. But all I'm doing is peeling the skins off. I'm going to dice them, and then I'm going to freeze them in little bags. And basically what I'm making here is, if you've ever bought those little jars of roasted peppers in a jar, that's exactly what this is. But instead of canning it, I'm worried that if I can it, I'm going to change the texture, because I think you need to add liquid to it. So I just freeze it, and then anytime a recipe calls for Rotel or for a little can of diced green chilies, I'll just pull out a little Ziploc bag of this and then add it to the recipe. So if a recipe calls for Rotel, I'll take 1 jar of my diced tomatoes and 1 little Ziploc bag of these, and then that is basically a jar of Rotel. Okay, so what I think I'm gonna do is take a break on this, because this is gonna take me probably an hour to peel all of these. I probably will enlist the help of Josh later this evening after he picks up my Azure order. So what I'm going to do is show you exactly what I'm going to do with these peppers, the ones that I have already out here. So I'm just going to line these peppers up, and I used both the Anaheims and the poblanos. And then I am going to, this is a bread knife, but I already got it dirty, so I'm just going to use it. I'm just going to run my knife through and do a rough chop. I did my best to get as many seeds out as possible and as much as the skin off as possible, but I was not perfect. There are a few seeds in here. Some of them have a few pieces of skin, but that's okay. As long as I have the bulk majority, that's what I want to do. And now I'm going to run my knife the other way, just getting, you know, like what a diced green chili would be in the grocery store. So that's kind of that right there. When you're preserving something, start with looking at your grocery list and seeing what you already purchased and seeing if there's anything on your grocery list that you buy that you would want to try to make homemade. I'm gonna take this glove off because I need to get into my, let's see.
And while she's doing that, we have Elizabeth at home who asked, well, she said, first, hi from Indiana. First, I want to tell you that you inspire me, and I want to thank you for that. Then she has a question about whether or not you plan to write an Acrehomestead cookbook.
My friend, I do plan to. It is on the list. It is on the list.
Doing it well takes a lot of time.
Takes a lot of time. So last time we were live, I mentioned that we went on a work trip, and I met someone who has written her own cookbook, and that was actually probably the best part of the trip, was being able to talk to her. And it hurt, Julia, and I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. I will link her down below. She's got a fantastic YouTube channel. I'm sure many of you know who she is, but I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, so I don't want to butcher it. But she was a wealth of knowledge, and we sat and talked for a long time about it. It is a lot of work. And so it is on the list, and I actually have a bunch of recipes already set aside and things, but I'm no food photographer. If you've seen on the website, I'm not a food photographer, and you got to find someone to do that and things like that. So those are the parts that I need help with. And she gave me a couple resources that helped her, and so one day it'll happen. Because there's so many things you have to consider if you're going to self-publish, if you're going to go through a publishing company, and things like that. So this is what I mean when I say I freeze these peppers flat, like this. And then I'm going to put roasted peppers, and make sure you label everything, because you think you'll remember what it is, and then you open your freezer 3 months down the line or 4 months down the line, and you are not sure what you have there. So I'm going to check these peppers, and they are nice and soft. So I'm actually going to turn, whew, that's strong, the stove off and let them cool a little bit so that they're not this hot going into the blender, because that's the next step.
We have a question for me, which is, what are my top 3 favorite meals that Becky makes? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think there's so many. What's great about this YouTube channel is that Becky's already a good cook, but because she is making videos, she has to rotate through stuff frequently. So
that's true.
One of the staples that we have that isn't, a video very often is we have tacos of varying types, and those are really, really good, especially when we have veggies from the garden. And then there's another one. I love beef stroganoff. That's always going to be on the list for sure. But the third thing, 2 bags. Yeah,
I will have more bags, but this is what.
For now.
Yeah.
Now the third thing is Becky has this kind of ad lib. It's zucchini and tomatoes from the garden and sausage, or I think it's like a sausage from Costco. Some sweet kind of sausage and cheese. She makes this bake thing, and it's very, very tasty. I don't know what it's called.
It doesn't have a name. It's just this random recipe that I kind of threw together one day, and I'm sure I've made it for you before, but it might be years. Basically, you saute onions. Oh no, it's the pineapple sausages, the Adele brand, something like that you get at Costco. They're kind of sweet, and so what I like to do is cut those into cubes, fry them, not fry them, but like sear them in a pan until they get caramelized and crunchy. Mm-hmm. Throw in some onions, saute that, throw in diced zucchini. So we eat this a lot in the summer. And then top it with tons of fresh tomatoes. So the zucchinis are sauteed with the onions, but not for very long. They're about half cooked. Then you top them with a ton of fresh tomatoes, and then I top that with a ton of cheese, and then I broil that. So in the broiler, the zucchini finishes cooking, the tomatoes stay pretty fresh, and the cheese gets ooey gooey. And because there's zucchini and tomato in it, it creates this broth that we then put that over rice. I just came up with that one day.
So good.
And it's probably one of the only recipes that I follow to the T that I make every time when I make it. Versus like when we have tacos, it's different every time. Okay, so now
we
we're
have a recommendation
Yeah.
for the skins.
Yeah.
Someone said that you should freeze dry the skins and make a green paprika.
Oh, is that what paprika is? Like roasted pepper powder?
Could be.
That's a great idea.
That's from Lurker Smurf, so.
That reminds me, I have taken out my, obviously, because I freeze dried this like months ago, or a month ago, the tomato skins. I have taken them out of the freeze dryer and put them in a jar, but I have not powdered them up yet. So I need to do that and turn that into powder. So, okay, so here is what it's looking like. I'm gonna bring it, these peppers are very, very soft. And Josh is gonna mute me for a minute while I blend this up. And he will answer some questions, but let me refer to this recipe real quick, because what we're supposed to do is put the pulp, like the peppers and the onions, in the blender with most of the liquid, but not all of it. We don't want the sauce to be too runny, and so we will put more. We'll start with less liquid, and then we'll add more liquid till we get the consistency we want, basically. So I'm gonna use this spider. This is one of those cooking utensils that I would have never bought myself, and it was a gift. Most of my cooking equipment are gifts, and I have to say it's probably one of my favorite cooking utensils.
It's a lot of fun.
Huh?
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's just so incredibly useful. I use this thing all the time. You can use it for frying or for doing things like this. But I would have, just limped along with what I had. And then Josh is really good. That's one good thing that balances him and I out is I typically, like my grain mill, that was in my Amazon cart for probably 2 years before I decided to finally buy it. And I've used it, I don't know, 6 or 7 times already in the last week and a half since I got it out of the box. And Josh is really good, though, about getting the tool you need for the job. So I'm slowly learning that from him, versus I will just limp along with what I have, and then he'll see like, wow, you could be a lot more efficient if you had X, Y, or Z tool.
Good example is the bread knife on the peppers,
Yeah.
It's a tool in hand.
It's the tool in hand, yeah. That's true. So I'm gonna pour, and I am not gonna discard whatever vinegar we don't end up putting, vinegar juice we don't end up putting in this. I'm gonna keep this because that would make some pretty good marinades and things like that. Okay, I think I'm gonna start with that. That's why it was okay that I added extra, because we're not gonna add all the vinegar to it. So go ahead and mute me, Josh. And warning, do not do what I'm doing. You should never blend something when it's this hot, but I'm gonna do it. So just if you are in your kitchen, make sure it cools down. Go like this.
Worst case scenario for us, it's content, I guess. So, all right,
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna start low and work my way higher.
You are muted, so.
Oh, I'm muted. Go ahead and talk.
It's not that loud, though.
It's not too bad.
No.
I'm gonna get it all.
We have some questions in the meantime about, okay, that's louder. Probably still loud. We have some questions in the meantime about projects that we have in the works. We are still working on upstairs. Tiffany Hoffman had asked if we had made any headway on the extra room upstairs. And we have that all painted now, and we're just waiting for the carpet. That's been delayed by they keep delaying it a month at a time. I don't even know if you can hear me, frankly.
Mute yourself too. That's good, right there. So what we're gonna do now, am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay, so what I was saying is I was gonna turn this really high. So go ahead and finish answering your question. I'm gonna check.
Oh my goodness.
check the consistency and the
It is strong. It's hit me here too.
flavor. It's kind of spicy in here. Like the whole room is a little
Someone
spicy.
was saying it looks like there's a haze, and I agree actually.
There might be a lot of steam. Okay, this is gonna be spicy. You can answer it.
Oh, but yeah, so the carpet keeps kind of getting delayed a month at a time. So we're looking at like end of November at this point, but we're not holding our breath. So once that's done, we can start moving stuff up there, and we'll be ready to go.
I'm gonna add a little bit more of this because I want this a little bit thinner. So tentatively right now, the carpet is supposed to be installed the very end of November. It was supposed to be November 5th, but it keeps getting, like he said.
And it was early October initially.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm just gonna mix this in so it's not gonna get super loud. And this recipe says you don't need to strain it. And I don't think I'm going to, because the last hot sauce I made that I just refrigerated, I did not strain. I just blended it very, very heavily, and it's really good. So, and I'm not gonna change the flavor of this. What I'm thinking I'm gonna do with most of this hot sauce, because I have enough hot sauce that I made that I refrigerated, is I have found that hot sauce tastes better when it sits for at least a year. So I would like this to sit for a year, just the flavors get more complex and mellow, because right now it's very sharp and very vinegary. I'm just gonna mix this in a little bit. Okay, so this sauce is done. So I am gonna can this sauce. So I'm gonna get my jars out. And I'm just gonna follow the directions on this recipe for my elevation and my canning time. I don't have it in the description box right now, but I will after put a link to the National Home Food Preservation website. So if you are new to canning, they are the gold standard. So I like to follow the canning rules. So they are a great resource. They're completely free. If you want to learn to can properly, you really don't need to purchase any cookbooks. I do have my favorite canning cookbooks, but you don't have to, because you can find a lot of the recipes on the National Home Food Preservation website. Now, I found that website a little bit intimidating when I first started canning. My mom actually, for my birthday, bought me the ball book, the one that I talk about all the time. And I found that book easier to read and digest than the National Home Food Preservation website, but you can find all that information on that website for free. And now that I understand canning a little bit better, that website does make more sense to me. But let's see, can you tell me, Josh, can you grab that recipe right there and just tell me what headspace it says it needs?
1 second.
I think it's 1/4 of an inch.
Is that towards the bottom, on the back?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be, if it's double-sided, it'll probably be toward the end.
Water should cover the jars by 1 inch.
It's gonna be before
Wait,
that.
no, that's the boil.
Yeah.
1/4 inch of space at the
Okay,
top.
that's what I thought. Most type of recipes like this are 1/4 of an inch. And canning is one of those things that actually your elevation can be affected on how long you should can something. I don't totally understand the science behind it, but because pressure is different at higher elevations than lower elevations, higher elevations need longer canning times. This is a beautiful orange color. So I was expecting it to be red, but it's orange. And I did not add any sugar to this. I didn't add any honey to it. It is mostly just peppers, onions, garlic, a little bit of smoked paprika and salt. And that is, so my other hot sauce that we made, I thought I was not even gonna fill all these jars, but I'm gonna get 2, 4, 6, 8, probably 16 jars and some to put in the fridge. So anytime you're canning, a lot of times you'll have just like a little left over that's not gonna fit in, like you don't have enough to actually process the jar. So usually you'll have a little bit that will go into the refrigerator. So I will eat this and enjoy it. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm grabbing a clean paper towel. You can use a rag or a clean paper towel. I generally use a paper towel for this. You just want to wipe your rim. And then I have some new lids here. I'm gonna get these on here.
For some reason,
go ahead.
you cut out for some reason. I'm not sure.
Oh, so
You're good now.
What I did is I just took a paper towel, wiped the rims. I only spilled on one. These jars are clean. They just came out of the dishwasher. And I have new lids that I cleaned and washed. I'm just gonna put these on here with a ring. And I am going to, when we're done here, grab out my big canner, my water bath canner, and I'll put I should be able to fit all of the jars, but I'm gonna have to wash a few more jars for the next batch. And you can, well, I don't know, I'd have to look at the recipe. I usually can my hot sauce in half pints or pints, but I've been doing more half pints recently because if I'm gonna give a gift of something like this, and I don't know if the recipient is gonna like it, I would rather give the gift in a half pint than a whole pint. And then if they tell me they loved it, I can just give them another jar down the road. But I probably won't be cracking into these for a year because I do have some jars left from last year. So here is 2, 4, 6, 8 half pints of this red hot sauce. Now we're gonna take our green hot sauce. Last year, if you're with me, we did a lot of hot sauce making, but we added a bunch of like different things like carrots, and I didn't remember. We were following a recipe out of a book that was my sister's, and those turned out really good, but I was kind of thinking I wanted to do more like pepper flavor forward versus adding a bunch of additives. So that's why I thought this recipe looked good. And I'm not gonna worry about, ooh, that's spicy. Let's put this over here. I'm not gonna worry about rinsing this out. A little bit of the pepper pulp from the last recipe is gonna do no harm to this recipe. Oh yeah, that's very steamy. It is probably, you know, the windows aren't steaming up. Sometimes the windows fog up, but they're not doing that today. The serrano peppers are really spicy. So I think this is gonna be a spicy one. I think my red one is gonna be hotter, but I'll be able to tell you that in just a minute because once we blend this up, I'll give it a taste test. Did you want to taste it? I didn't even offer you a taste test.
How spicy is it?
It actually wasn't too bad. You certainly don't have to taste it.
I would give it a try.
You try it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get you, it's okay for that to cool down a little bit. Let's see. You don't have to eat all that. I would just take a little.
I'll just do a little dab.
Yeah. It's not too bad.
It's
too bad.
It's good. It's got, weirdly, it has like almost, maybe it's just my brain, it has like a tomato soup
Really?
flavor at
It looks like tomato soup.
It does. I think it's just my brain trying to trick me into eating it. It's good. It's not too spicy.
No, it's not. It's actually not near as hot as I thought it was going to be.
I don't think I would choose to add it, but that's just because I don't like spice. So.
Yeah. So I am never offended if I cook for someone and they're like, where's the ketchup? Because I literally put hot sauce on almost everything I eat. And so, you know, I'll make this big meal. I guess not every meal, but most meals I put hot sauce on. And my dad was always like that, and it doesn't offend me at all. But Josh wants the unadulterated flavor that
Pure flavor.
Pure flavor. Mm-hmm. I do try to like make things taste really good without having to add anything.
Oh yeah. They're always really good. In fact, I usually think, boy, you must be ruining it with that hot sauce.
Right.
Killing the subtlety of a recipe.
Yeah. I have throughout the years made things too spicy for Josh where I end up getting to enjoy the whole, like all the leftovers. Whoop. Okay. So normally I will run my hot sauce through a fine mesh sieve, but I'm not going to do that this time. I think this is the first time I'm not doing that, and I might not like it, but how will I know if I don't ever try it? So again, I'm going to put this lid on. The reason you don't want to blend something when it's hot is it creates pressure in there and it can explode on you. That's why I'm putting this towel on here and I'm holding it down, but I'm also, I'm letting some steam come out of this, so I'm holding this out. I'm not holding this down on here so that the pressure and the steam can come out and release. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on. So that emulsified beautifully. Definitely better than the red one. That's not true. I think I just said I've never strained it. The last hot sauce we made together that I refrigerated, I didn't strain, and it is super thick, and it's like a paste consistency almost. And it's like this one. Let me show it to you. It almost looks like guacamole.
It does.
Let's see, I'm gonna put this here.
By the way, we got 2 more super chats.
Oh my goodness, friends.
One is from Debs. She said, I've watched your channel from the beginning and love everything you do. Thank you for teaching me so much.
Thank you for being here, Deb.
And we also
Greatly
have
appreciate it.
a super chat from Kwambi. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. They're asking about your Amazon storefront. And I linked what I think is a storefront. If not, it's someone who's created a duplicate and is going to make some money off of that. We have an Amazon storefront.
I haven't updated it in a long time.
It might not have what you're looking for.
I generally just link everything in the description box of the video if I use it. That's something I probably should take some time to actually...
They were looking for something that may not be linked. So
yeah.
It may or may not be there. Sorry if it's not.
A lot of the things that I talk about are in the description boxes.
Recipes especially. We get emails sometimes about recipes.
Whoa.
Is that a little spicy?
Yeah, this is hotter, which I'm surprised by. I think it's the serrano peppers.
You want me to try that one?
You don't have to.
I'll try it.
That is hotter.
Is it really delayed?
I don't know. My mouth is burning.
Maybe my tongue's already dead from the first one.
I'm going to add a little bit more.
I'm not getting as much from that.
Really?
As the first one.
Maybe my whole face is on fire because I'm
might be
in a pepper spa basically right now.
Pepper spa.
So this is the last peppers that I have to process this year. I pulled out some of the peppers that were in the red hot sauce were actually frozen. Sorry. I'm just going to mix this in real quick.
We also got a donation from Lady Q for 50 Canadian.
Wow,
and it's you can't see it, but it's a pair dancing with yellow flags in a city. It's a large pear.
Thank you so much. I know what those little fruits look like. They're super cute. So let's look at this consistency. Oh, I wanted to thank you all too for being so kind and supportive of our little family trip we went on. You were so sweet in the comment section about my sister. I just wanted to say thank you because I so enjoyed reading those comments. It was so heartwarming, and I know my mom enjoyed reading the comments. And, you know, it can be, this is what I do every day, so I'm used to it. But to have someone come on who doesn't do this every day, you know, it was just, you all were so kind. So I just want to thank you, how sweet and supportive you were. And we had a lot of fun on that trip. Oklahoma is beautiful, dry and hot, but beautiful.
Dry because of the time we were there. I think a lot of times it's not, maybe.
Yeah.
we got the perfect time.
Yeah, it was not humid at all. Like completely, it was nice. It was really good. I feel like it's what I needed to like really accept fall, because our summer was very mild. And we were actually in Montana when we had our really hot, we had a week and a half of really hot and we weren't here. And then when we were in Montana, it happened to be in the 70s, so it wasn't very hot there. And so I didn't feel like I got all that heat that I needed to really welcome in fall, but it was so nice and warm and beautiful that it was like the perfect way to end summer, to enjoy that like heat wave that you all had. Or I don't know if it was a heat wave, but it was, for us, it was hot. It was in the high 80s, mid 90s while we were there. And so it was like perfect. So this I am going to jar up just like I jarred up those, but I did not wash enough jars. That's why usually I have so many extra jars, because I don't like washing jars by hand. I like washing them in my dishwasher. So I will wash up probably 8 more jars, get these jarred up with a new lid, and then I will water bath can them according to the time that I need to water bath can them for. I believe, I'll have to look it up. I think it's 10 or 15 minutes, not very long, because this is a very acidic product.
I'll say.
Yeah. And then I will vacuum seal these peppers and finish peeling and de-seeding my roasted peppers. I'm thinking I am probably going to get maybe 6 or 8 bags of peppers this size, and each one of these is what I would consider 1 serving. So if a recipe calls for, I think they're 4 7-ounce jars of roasted peppers or 1 can of Rotel, I would just pull one of these out, which between this and what I already put up probably will get me through a year, because I don't buy a ton of these. And so that is fantastic. Any final questions? Because Josh needs to go pick up our Azure order this evening.
We're cutting it close.
Yeah.
We had a couple more super chats. One
Oh.
from Country Brat. It's a sticker of a cat or a fox
You all are so nice.
or dog. And then also from Jennifer Sahir, who sent in 2 super chats. One says, I froze my roasted diced peppers in pucks like you do with garlic.
Oh,
Issuing
that's a good
dedicated ice cube tray.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I like
I've
that.
heard of those super cubes that people really like that you can get all in different sizes. That's a great idea.
And then as far as other questions go, I'd have to scan back through. I've been trying to keep up as best I can for relevant questions.
So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to do this. There is a disaster that is pushed back there, so I'm going to clean that up. I do not have to think about dinner tonight because I already made it. The meatballs just need to be cooked in the oven.
And they smell good.
The Instant Pot rice is cooked and the carrots are roasted. So we are going to have a delicious dinner, but we probably aren't going to eat until after Josh gets back from the Azure order and I finish this, so that, wow, it is a disaster. So this is going to be fun. So Josh.
It's too bad I have to go do that.
I know. I think at least my dishwasher is, yeah.
There's room.
There's room. So most of this can go in the dishwasher. So I just want to say thank you all for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for taking the time to comment, like, subscribe, share, show up and just watch the video. Truly means more to me than you all can know. So if you want to watch more videos, I can pop some here. You can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you are having a fantastic day. We're wrapping up garden season. My parents are coming to a big harvest, and then Josh and I are putting the garden to bed, and we are going to be jumping in full force into holiday cooking. My mom and I have been planning our Thanksgiving meal, and I have lots of recipes that we're going to be making together for the holidays that I'm really looking forward to. Candies and cakes and side dishes and all sorts of good stuff. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, and we can't wait to see you next time.